This is the 18 Nm direct drive wheelbase from Conspit loaded with high-end electronics and 23-bit optical encoder with 8 million count per revolution, which sits just in between SimuCube Pro and SimuCube Ultimate, but with unique skewed pole design for the rotor and stator in that motor to cover the magnetic field gaps, eliminating cogging and magnetic ripples. And in general, this product on paper looks very impressive, but my job is to let you know if all those promises on the page actually deliver in terms of force feedback and build quality. Of course, the disclaimer first, this is sent to me for testing and review purposes from SimWare dealer under the same conditions as most of the products we have seen in this channel, and those are sharing objective opinion in video with you guys. That being said, I drive this base daily for about 10 weeks in all different titles. I personally enjoy including the AC Evo the last week, and surprisingly for such a new product and software, I never had single bug or issue in any sim. Sometimes with products like this, we become beta testers in the first year till everything gets polished, but my experience till now have been 100% stable, which leads me to think they have worked on this secretly for quite some time. So, let's check the build and the specs before I jump in the driving experience. This is 18 Nm motor, but I have been told is 25 limited to 18 holding torques for safety and longevity with passive cooling in that aluminum case, and is even further limited in the software to 15, which suits my needs just fine to get the exact torque with maximum details. Those are the limits I use in my SimuCube and now my 32 Nm VNM Extreme, but if you need for some reason all the 18 Nm holding torques, just check the boost slider. Now, one very cool thing I found with those 18 Nm limits is it never clips the signal in any circumstances, and those numbers for me personally are undrivable as the base just start driving me and I can't keep with that power. Also, the software provides real-time temperatures and the hotspots are the MOSFETs, and I saw up to 70 degrees, which is well within operational state, and the body of the base just barely changed temperature, but again, this is very unrealistic case as I doubt anyone will use this base with those crazy torques. Neither me or even the rig can keep with those torques, and everything is just shaking everywhere. In little words, and this is important for the value of this base, the 25 Nm motor is limited to 18 holding torques for zero clipping, and in my tests, my muscles fell well before the base get even warm. Also, there is zero clipping party. About build quality is very high standards, clean and different design with clever rails on the bottom with T-nuts and side holes for side mounting, but there is no front mounting solution. Also, USB-C only connections on the back with CAN bus for all the Conspit peripherals like handbrake, pedals and whatever else is coming in the future from the brand, which means the ecosystem will need single USB to the PC and emergency stop slot, which I don't have, and for weeks of driving and testing extreme scenarios I never needed one. All different bases those days have protection in the software, so there is no problem at all. The front shaft is designed to fit their own quick release, which is taken from real race car, and with all the channels and the ball bearing is very secure, but is a bit sticky and not as slick in use as the Energy Style from SimMagic and Moza. One advantage of this quick release is the weight, which is half of the Energy Style, but is more expensive and a bit sticky, which I don't like. Of course, wireless connection for their wheels with enough power to feed dashboards, another magnetic connection on the top for their dashboard with magnetic cap to cover the whole, which is nice touch, and I have to admit those guys have their own style, which I like a lot from their products, and the attention to detail is obvious in the pedals, ergonomically shaped wheel, and this base too. from outside, except the sticky quick release, which is not huge problem, just not as slick in use as the Energy. I can't find anything to complain about. If you don't mind that problem, for some even the weight can be advantage. And I forgot to mention the start button in front, which boot the base in few seconds. It is comfortable to use and hidden on the bottom, zero distraction in that place. That being said, from inside, starting with the 23-bit optical encoder with the 8 million count per revolution, technically in terms of pure number speakings, the measurement is 2 times more precise than the SimuCube 2 Pro and about 32 times more precise than the SimMagic and Moza encoders, but in our use case, I don't think makes any real difference, or at least my human brain can detect that. However, just like in my VNM Extreme, I'm happy to see they keep the high standards in their package. Also, 20 million revolution lifespan on the slip ring is an insane number. Our brain is not used to really grasp those numbers, but to give you perspective, if we do 2000 rotation per day, which are about 26 laps on Nordschleife, for which we have to drive at least 3 hours with very fast car. To reach 20 million rotation, we have to drive 26 laps every day for about 28 years. That's quite crazy if you think about it. Next is the motor design, which I haven't seen something like this till now, and the skewed rotor and stator must eliminate the gaps in the magnetic field, promising reduced magnetic ripples, less noise and vibrations. Now, usually all motors have those ripples when not active, but when on that almost disappear, but in this motor, even off in rotation there is zero ripples. In all fairness, in action, all DD bases I've tested can be set perfectly smooth, and even if I try to feel any advantage with this design, I can't notice it, but in theory there must be some just not detectable from my brain. However, what I like is they try to innovate and improve the motor for sim use, which is something I appreciate a lot. So, before I move to the driving experience, from hardware point of view, this build looks like hold very high standards from every point of view, and what we have to see is how we'll hold in the next few years. The software is also surprisingly polished for such a new product, and in the last 10 weeks I've got 3 updates but never had single problem with any of the versions till now. Of course, all the sliders we have in other brands are present here in the advanced mode, like center spring, friction, damping, rotation speed, and the main filter for the level of smoothness is the frequency one, and the smaller the number, the smoothest the experience. But again, as in all other bases, smoothness causes force feedback details, and we must be careful with that. Force feedback settings are very subjective topic, but all the presets I've tested are very close to my personal like, and they are all very good balance between speed, detail and smoothness. There is no tons of damping and friction, but just the right amount to not get into that crazy oscillation, and just little harsh, which gives life to the road. Of course, each game has its own characteristics and some can get away with higher frequency, but in general I'm happy to see good presets which will make most of us happy, considering most of you share my same taste. I'm sure those who will jump for first time in this will experience proper feedback, and my suggestion is to start tweaking the frequency filter first before anything else and find your own sweet spot. In terms of actual driving feeling, even if the hardware suggests improved experience, again, my brain just can't register any difference, and I have tested extensively most of the bases on the market those days. It is smooth, it is fast, and gives me that confidence on the edge, just as the VNM Extreme, SimuCube, SimMagic, Moza, Fanatic, and the list goes on. You know, every brand have its own characteristics on the track, and this one feels more like Simukube and Simmagic with bit more smooth spikes, hitting curbs for example. Loading the tires in the corners is different feeling for each sim, and understeer information is worse in iRacing for example, but that's the same for each DD base I've tested, and I guess that's just game limitation, not hardware of the bases. However, if this base is faster than the rest, it makes no difference to my car control or my lap times. I think that tech have reached the limits of my own response time biological capability for a long time, but can be different for you. This is only personal statement. So, in terms of price, it's a bit more expensive from the R16 from Moza and the 15 Nm Alpha, but keep in mind that those 18 Nm are holding torques, which makes it more like the R21 and 23 Nm Ultimate, but with a bit better tech inside for less money. I really like the modest approach from Conspit in terms of numbers, as that means the base over-deliver in every statement. I like also that the entire experience with the product in use, including the software, feels mature with zero bugs. It really feels like few years old polished product. The build quality is absolutely unquestionable with every hardware I touched, and even if I wasn't blown away from the hydraulic pedals, which reading all the comments in that video looks like everyone who has them is very happy with, but the wheel and the base are very impressive and very competitively priced. Those young guys seems to have a lot of passion for their work and really try to improve the sim experience with new designs in their wheels and that unique motor in the base. The only thing I don't like is that sticky quick release, which is not as slick in use as the energy style and is also more expensive but has the advantage in terms of weight. From my side, very positive personal experience, but check the comment section and see what other users have to say. That being said, happy racing, people.